So then Gary is starting to do things. He's opened up for Jimmy Vaughn, playing pickup stuff. Jimmy kind of took him under his wing, from what I heard, from what I know.
He did some regional little runs of shows with Jimmy, and
they became friends at Antone's, I'm sure. And
yeah, I think Jimmy was recognized.
Was there just was the talent just undeniable when you saw Gary on stage back then? I mean, was everybody ripping like that, or was he just...
Honestly, there's some great guitar players, and there's some great musicians in Austin. At the time, there were some great guitar players. Honestly, I didn't notice it until the first time I remember him sitting in with a band that was playing and feeling, his...
getting in the pocket.
His kind of, when he takes over and, drives the bus per se. Yeah, he's definitely one of those musicians where it's like, there's a wave of energy and you're riding it when you're playing behind them,
When he goes, when he goes, does that mean we're hitting the fucking gas now? Because that is the coolest shit ever. I mean, I've seen you guys so many times, and he's like, and he's like, so he got stung by a bee, and it's like, then you guys really hit the gas.
I know what you're talking about.
Is that a signal on the band? That's a serious question. Does that mean, like, let's get going?
I'm not going to speculate, but I will speculate. I know he does it sometimes when he's going for something and he doesn't quite get there, and he's like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it also happens to coincide that those are the big moments,
The people don't realize with great, lead players like that, they make a lot of mistakes because they're going so fast. You're constantly missing frets and strings, and so I could see also, I think that's also when he misses a note, then he's like really goes for it. Then
right.
Talking about time and stuff, like when you guys do like When My Train Pulls In. Mm-hmm. I mean, you played it so many times, but every time it's different.
Different tempo every time.
Yeah. I mean, how do you know where he's going? Does he signal you?
He generally, like, he starts that. That's one of the songs that he starts and kind of sets up the tempo. And, me and Johnny Bradley look at each other and we're like, oh, this is going to be a fast one, or, oh, this is going to be back,
That's so rad. So you guys, he contacts you, Gary, and says, hey, I need a drummer. Or Zapata say he's looking for a drummer, and you're like...
The call came from Zapata,
what's the project?
I think Gary was out of town working on stuff, and he was, I remember hearing rumor in town that Gary was working on some deal or something out here.
Warner Brothers?
Yeah. And so Zapata was in town, and I guess they had put Gary on this thing called the Bonnaroo Buzz Tour, which was a tour supporting Grace Potter and the Nocturnals.
Love her.
And it was like 3 bands. It was us, the Future Birds from Athens, Georgia, and Grace Potter. And it ended at Bonnaroo, went up the East Coast, and then came back down and ended at Bonnaroo. And that was kind of last minute. They asked him to do this thing, and it was a good opportunity. And so Zapata got on the phone because he knew he had everybody's number, and he's kind of the connections guy. He's like, hey, you want to go on tour? It starts next week.
And you would kind of know, like, oh, this is
I had
cool.
to think about it for a day because it was one of those things where like I said, I was playing in like 6 different bands 6 nights a week, and then doing short tours from Thursday through Sunday. And I always prided myself at the time of like not backing out of gigs, no matter how sick I was, or no matter how busy I got, or even if I double booked myself in a night, I'd do both.
That's another thing for musicians to listen to is do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very flaky business already, and commit. If you commit to something, in anything in life, I think that's if you say you're going to do it.
And there's a lesson learned there that, like, for instance, I think of one example where I was doing this Monday night gig, and I think after a couple weeks of doing it, we realized we were never going to make more than $25 a person for like 3 hours of music. It was brutal.
Stand-up comedy rates right there.
And it was on the east side of Austin, the east side of Austin, which now is happening. Back then, there was like a couple of bars, and like nobody was going down there. Now the same bar I'm talking about is like packed to the gills every night.
The hipsters moved in and took over.
What's that?
The hipsters moved in East Austin.
Yeah, everything's kind of shifted on to
like
that
East
side
LA
of
here,
town.
too.
But I was doing that gig, and I remember, now she's my wife, but I remember my girlfriend at the time being like, "Why are you doing this? Like, you worked all day, you had this other rehearsal for 3 hours. Why are you going to do this gig for $25?" And I was like, "I don't know," because I signed up for it.
Sounds like someone else.
I signed up for it, and my arm's now broken, so I was there. And that was one of the gigs where that I got to know Gary and play with him and interact with him and stuff. So
what are some of the songs you guys are doing now?
the lesson there to me is like, you
keep putting up
maybe
with
if it wasn't for that $25 gig, I wouldn't have met Gary or become tight with him.
There's a lot of luck too. I mean, it's not just with you, but with everyone that I've met and interviewed and talked to. It's just like I was at the right place at the right time, and also I think it goes back to you being extremely cool too. Radelat and Zapata together. I mean, I see Zapata when you guys were playing Jimmy Kimmel the other day. I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and Zapata's just kind of floating through Hollywood Boulevard. He's got his sunglasses on and the headphones and the cool hair, and I'm just like, man, this band is too fucking cool.
Yeah, he was the one who called all of us and was like, "Hey, this tour starts in a week. You want to do it?" And I called him back the next day and was like, "Yeah, I got some calls to make and some people to piss off, but yeah, I'll do it."
It was Gary signed at Warner Brothers then, or was this kind of right before?
Well, in that whole process, it was all talked about. And like, oh yeah, also he's, he just got a record deal, and which to me wasn't a selling point because,
everyone and their mother has a record deal.
Yeah, and by the year 2000, this sounds stupid, maybe not.
Detrimental to you almost.
But by the year 2011, what does a record deal? It doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? It's not like 1992 when people are still getting crazy bonuses for record.
You're in a Ferrari the next day, riding next to Vince Neil down Sunset.
So,
but you loved his music, his talent, the group. He's a Zapata. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And that was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So we're talking 2011.
That was 2011. Yeah.